Hey everybody, and welcome back, or welcome for the first time if you're new around here. I know, you've probably heard me and a ton of other health professionals say it before, but I'll say it again. Drinking plenty of fluids, especially pure water, is so important to your health. But before I get started, I need to disclaim that obviously this advice is for healthy people with healthy kidneys. And if you're not one of those people, you need to consult your doctor before you take advice from any random people on the internet. Now, I don't want to be like every other video or article about the importance of drinking water and say, your body is 60% water, but it's true, and your brain is over 75% water, so dehydration literally makes us stupider. So maybe you do need to hear stats for the millionth time. But since knowing the fluid percentage of your precious meat suit probably hasn't properly scared you into staying adequately hydrated, I will throw some more facts at you. Dehydration makes you feel fatigued, sluggish, and yes, it inhibits brain function. Your metabolism slows when you're dehydrated, which can definitely contribute to weight gain or slow weight loss. The primary way that your body preserves fluid for your dehydrated body is by sucking toxin-loaded poo juice out of your large intestine, which creates quite the toxic burden on your poor little liver and makes hard poo that is painful to pass and starves your beneficial intestinal bacteria. Dehydration can also lead to chronically low levels of saliva and tears, which can contribute to cavity formation and potential eye damage. When you're low on bodily fluids, your joints aren't able to adequately lubricate themselves, which leads to increased joint friction and the breakdown of cartilage. Hello, arthritis. Do you have any idea what your kidneys have to deal with on a daily basis? A lot. Don't make their lives harder with the burden of super concentrating urine. Give them lots of fluids to flush through. And if you're dry, your blood is dry. It gets thick and viscous, and your heart has to work double hard to pump all that sludge through the 60,000 miles of blood vessels that are inside your body. Plus, how is all that gunky blood supposed to make it through the tiny, itsy-bitsy capillaries that account for 80% of that mileage? Also, for those of us who are vain, self-included, dehydration makes your skin look like crap. If your liver is overloaded by cleansing poo juice and your kidneys are struggling to wash down all those toxins, your skin will unfortunately or fortunately pick up the detox load. All those tiny capillaries that are getting gunked up with thick blood, a lot of those feed your skin. Without enough water intake, you'll look sallow and gray and overall icky. So spend less time and money on makeup and more on drinking water. Statistics do show that the vast majority of humanity is chronically suboptimally hydrated. So, are you properly motivated? Perfect. Let's get into the details. How much water do you need? As with every other nutrient, except love, more isn't necessarily better. You need enough water, but if you drink too much, you could kind of like turn into that senator from the first X-Men movie who pretty much exploded. Seriously, it's way possible on a cellular level. Most adults need a baseline of 2 to 3 liters, or 64 to 96 ounces of fluids per day. More if you're bigger, less if you're on the small side. Some people insist that you should be peeing clear, but I am not necessarily a believer in clear pee. I get much more excited when I'm well hydrated and my pee is a bit yellow, because then I know that my kidneys are really getting stuff done. If your pee is like dark yellow, brown, thick, or especially smelly, you definitely need to take in more fluids to help your kidneys flush that through. Another good indicator of hydration is pee frequency. I know it sounds inconvenient, but peeing every 1 or 2 hours is pretty normal. It's stellar. It's great. And frequent trips to the bathroom are actually excellent for your entire urinary tract, as the activity flushes out all of your pipes, preventing bacteria from blooming in places that they shouldn't. If you are a big sweater, like a sweater, not a sweater, or you're doing activities that cause a lot of fluid loss via sweating, you will need to replace that fluid and definitely be mindful about replacing electrolytes. More on those momentarily. For heavy sweating, you will need 1 to 2 extra liters of fluid per hour that you are sweating profusely. There are some people who seem to enjoy or really benefit from drinking more water than these recommendations. And if you feel great drinking more, go for it. But if you feel spacey, bloated, lethargic, or sick from drinking more than 64 ounces of fluid in a day, don't. You don't need to. But in the early days of trying to increase hydration, just keep in mind that your body is adaptive, but that adaptation can take a little while to happen. A lot of people will feel like gross and burpy when they first start trying to drink tons of water, and that's usually because they suddenly make the choice and just start chugging the stuff. But as your body gets used to increased fluid intake, you won't feel as gross or unwell from drinking more water. But also keep in mind that there is no real benefit from flooding your body with water. A gallon a day or more is not necessary for health. In fact, it can be less than ideal for you. And here's why. Your body is so complicated. Yet, despite the trillions and trillions of metabolic pathways that are activated right now, and now, and now, and now, your body manages to stay in a state of homeostasis, which means balance. And fluid balance is a big part of that homeostasis. And electrolyte balance is a big part of fluid balance. So electrolytes are ionic minerals that are capable of conducting electrical impulses. They include calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, chloride, bicarbonate, sulfate, etc. These minerals need to stay in balance, and our body is excellent at doing so, unless we suddenly dump a ton of electrolyte deficient fluid into our bodies, aka most modern water. At which point we are in danger of becoming hypohydrated or overly hydrated, a condition known as dilutional hyponatremia. It sounds terrible, and it certainly can be. So when we drink our 64 to 96 ounces of fluids per day, it is wise to drink it in a certain way, down to the nitty-gritty of it. What kind of water should you drink? You should drink clean water. Please check out my video on the preferred methods of in-home water filtration up there. Long story short, I drink filtered tap water, very rarely bottled water, because bottled water is a crime against God, except in emergency circumstances. So once your water is clean, you would be wise to replace the electrolytes and other minerals. A little while ago, it became really popular in the bacon is health food blogosphere to point and laugh at all these stupid healthy people who were drinking so much distilled water thinking that it was good for them, but ha ha ha, the water has no minerals and it erodes their bone and depletes their mineral stores. Aren't we so much better than them for just drinking beer? First, shave your beard. It has bacon grease in it. It's gross. Second, I don't think there has ever been a case of mineral deficiency or bone loss from just drinking distilled water, but hey, who am I to spit in the face of useful information? So instead of switching to bacon-flavored beer to protect my health, I do the thing that actually makes sense by using these concentrates mineral drops, which I purchase from Amazon once every year or two, and I put about 5 to 8 drops in each liter of water that I drink. No, you don't really need more, and more will affect the taste. If I am planning a huge sweat and sauna session at the gym, I do put a teeny itsy bitsy little pinch of real salt into the water to help with my sodium balance, or I use one of these really delicious electrolyte pouches that were recommended to me by one of you beautiful informed viewers. Thank you for that. These electrolyte products are free of questionable ingredients. They taste genuinely yummy. Levi, who literally pours sweat all day long working outside in the sun, uses about 2 packets every single day. but there's no reason why a normal person who's just sweating normal amounts would need to use these products regularly. For most of my daily electrolyte needs, I just stick to vitamin, mineral, and electrolyte-rich whole plant foods along with the mineral drops in my water. Some people swear by including gel foods in their diet to boost hydration, which usually means that there's some type of soluble plant fiber that's present. So foods that are particularly rich in these types of gel-forming like fibers, such as papaya or chia seeds, are rumored to boost hydration quite effectively. I haven't found too much solid research about this, nor have I noticed any personal real benefit from including these foods in my diet, but they are still, hugely healthful foods, so it definitely doesn't hurt to include them. Of course, not everyone finds drinking just plain old water to be palatable, although that is something that tends to develop more and more the more that you do it. So you might have to force yourself a little bit there at first. But you do have other options if you don't want to drink just plain water. I do drink some teas from time to time. I do like green tea, but in small amounts because it does contain a significant amount of caffeine. So I might have 1 or 2 cups of green tea in the morning, 2 to 3 times a week, that kind of thing. I do, however, really enjoy herbal teas. Now, herbal teas do not contain caffeine. However, herbs can and are potent medicines for humans, so you need to be aware of what you are drinking every single day if you're including herbal teas in your daily routine. I really recommend alternating and mixing up what kind of herbal teas you're including in your diet, and being careful not to drink the same thing every day, day in and day out for weeks or months at a time. You can end up developing allergies, you can end up affecting your hormone balance. So just be wise about that if you choose to include delicious, hydrating herbal teas in your daily routine. Another question I am very commonly asked is, can I just drink 64 ounces of water all at once, or 32 ounces of water twice a day? Or do I have to sip all day long? Which is so boring. Well, I recommend some kind of combination of both, because your body will adapt to reliable patterns of fluid intake. So if you prefer to chug your water at predictable times, your body can adapt to that up to a point. But generally, it is best to sip your water throughout the day. What's very important is to make sure that if you are taking in large amounts of water at one time, you do that before you have a meal, as opposed to with your meals or after a meal. Drinking water before a meal helps to hydrate your system. It allows your body to be generous with digestive juices, and it prevents the excessive poo fluid absorption from the colon. So aim to finish drinking water about 20 minutes before you have a meal. Drinking water with a meal or after a meal dilutes digestive juices and enzymes, which can stall your digestion, which leads to indigestion, heartburn, bloating, gas, fatigue, and it impedes nutrient absorption. Not a good look. Most professionals recommend waiting at least a couple of hours after eating a big meal to drink any significant amount of fluids, although you can continue to slowly sip after a meal. As an example day of fluid intake, I personally wake up every morning and I drink at least 1 liter of water. My body has grown to expect that water, and it absorbs it quite quickly without me automatically having to run to the bathroom several times. My morning tank up also helps me reach my fluid intake goals without having to employ a pack animal to carry all of my water with me when I leave the house. I also usually drink an extra 16 or more ounces before lunch, and I sip periodically throughout the day between my meals. I always make sure to have a water bottle close by, and I like the insulated water bottles because I don't have time for warm, icky water. I just don't. It turns me off. I don't want to drink it. I want nice, crisp, cold water. I also try to avoid drinking any significant amount of fluids after 5 p.m. so that I can avoid having to wake up 62 times a night to go pee. So on a successful day of fluid intake, I usually drink just over 100 ounces of water. Some days, like if I do a gym sweat session, I could drink up to 160 ounces of water. Other days, especially cold days, I'm just not feeling it, and I'm lucky if I reach 64 ounces. I just do my best to go with the flow, so to speak, and not beat myself up for having some, maybe slightly dehydrated days every now and then. The world won't end, though I do end up needing chapstick. All natural vegan chapstick, of course. Alright, so those are some of the basics of hydration. Before I leave, I do want to note that flavored or vitamin-enriched waters are absolute bullshit. Bordering on poison. So don't waste your money. And sports drinks are the devil's Kool-Aid. They're highly acidic and they will hurt your exercise recovery. Alright, hydration compadres, thank you again and again for tuning in and for your continued support and all the sweetness you all pour into my life. I love it so much. So until next time, make better choices for yourself. No one is going to do it for you. And take really, really good care. I will see you all very soon.